Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Hilaal Live. Now, as we celebrate Women's Month, Africa Muslims Agency is dedicated to highlighting a crucial issue that affects countless women around the world, and that is access to clean water. Now, this August, Africa Muslims Agency are focusing their efforts on a transformative initiative that aims to bring life-sustaining water to women and communities in Africa and Afghanistan. And who better than to come into studio to talk to us a little more about this great project, his sister Idrissa Ebrahim from Africa Muslims Agency. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Lovely to be back, and thank you for having us.
It's my absolute pleasure. Number one, I think it's crucial that we focus on women like yourself that are in the NPO sector that's been creating and making a difference for so many years. So I want to say Mubarak and also shukran for all that you do in our communities. We really appreciate it. The initiative that you've got going at the moment for Women's Month, I know it's collaborating with women-owned businesses to actually give back and support the water projects. Clean water through Africa alone has always been an issue, and also in Afghanistan at the same time as well. Tell us a bit more about AMA's water project. Over the last couple of months, I remember a couple of the years now, I've got you coming into studio to tell us a bit.
Thank you, Luqman. So with regards to the worth, just give our viewers the vicious cycle of water scarcity and poverty. Remain trapped in poverty.
Right.
So the agency has been active in Africa for almost 30 years. In the Zambezia province, which is far north, you know. Rural area. And the state obviously makes it even worse. So women, unfortunately, are the ones who go to bear the water. They have to walk for kilometers, up to 4-6 hours a day in the burning heat of Africa, just going to collect water. This obviously affects them. They were unable to go to school, therefore no education. If you look at the lack of clean water, they end up with diseases, waterborne diseases. The birth rates fall very low. Children die before the age of 2 due to lack of access to clean water. And so this is Africa. When you look at Afghanistan, and alhamdulillah, fortunately, I've been to Afghanistan, and what I saw in Afghanistan will also remain with me for the rest of my life. The lack of clean water in Afghanistan has resulted in blindness in some of the children. They suffer from cholera, they suffer from dysentery. Women have massive problems of malnutrition, stunted growth, for example. Children do not grow. And women here, again, in the context of Afghanistan, are the ones who pay the price, who suffer, you know, tremendous in water, having huge families, widows with orphan children. So that is a project that is very close to my heart.
Look, it's so heartwarming to know that an organization like yourselves is making a difference. And, you know, I would imagine the question often comes up, what is the local municipalities doing? What is the local governments doing? Are there other corporates getting involved? Do you come across these type of questions and have an answer for us maybe?
I can't really answer that in terms of what their government structures are, but us as an NGO, we have taken it, you know, as a project to provide clean water to communities. Whether their countries or governments, you know, provide clean water or not is something that is not. It's not something that we get involved in.
Gotcha.
We look at it more from a humanitarian. Aspect. And when you look at an area like Mozambique, for example, or Malawi, there are thousands of villages that lack clean water. So this is more a humanity project, a project for humanity to bring a basic human right to a village.
Once your teams have gone into various communities and they've established a well or a water point, what are some of the amazing stories that have come and some that you can highlight that has happened since your project has been initiated?
Alhamdulillah. So the moment a wali is sunk within a village, it automatically alleviates the burden for the entire village. It allows the girl child to be able to go to school, to be
Alhamdulillah.
able to get an education, for women to be able to plant, because the water that is used is for their crops, for their animals, for washing, drinking, cooking. It has a huge spin-off benefit for the entire community. So it
Alhamdulillah.
lightens the load of the community. And we have heard how communities have flourished because of a water well,
Brilliant.
just bringing clean, clean potable water to an area. In Afghanistan, we've seen it where we were taken to some of the projects, and it was extraordinary. You can see a huge difference in the community that has access to clean water versus a community that lacks access to clean. It's so visible, absolutely visible, just in the children alone. You see children who are blind, who have terrible skin diseases, and it was the most heartbreaking situation for me to witness this. But in Afghanistan, in an area where there is clean water, you see children coming, they fill up their cans, they carry it home, so it's almost on tap for them.
A basic necessity like water we take for granted.
Absolutely.
Because we open our tap and the water comes out. But villages and communities like this have to walk miles and miles in order just to get a jar full of water. So I think it puts into perspective the work that you do, number one, the difference that you make, but also how we as ordinary South Africans take for granted that basic need. How do your teams go and identify where these water wells need to be? Do they consult with local communities? Talk us through that.
So I think there's a team that does the assessment. They go into they will go to one area, for example, and they will assess that area.
Right.
They also have to test whether there is water within that area. So once these areas have been identified, we will receive it that all these villages, for example, and in a village you will have between 250 to 400 people who live within a village.
Right.
But from one village to a next, the terrain is not a smooth road.
Gotcha.
For example, you've got to walk over harsh terrain, in the burning sun. So this is how these villages get isolated for the need for water. Water is there. It is the access to getting to the water, to being able to build the well. And by building the well, it also empowers the locals because, you bring work to the area.
Correct.
And this is more like a holistic kind of project.
Because the local businesses would then flourish. It then can provide jobs for people. So it has a massive ripple effect. Beside the water projects that you've got, I know African Muslim Agency has got so many projects on the go at the same time. What are some of the other projects you have on the go at the moment?
At the moment, locally, we are focused on the Empower SA project, which is the winter campaign, the winter project, which is right now, it is storming, it's raining in Cape Town. And so our teams have identified community-based organizations who benefit with these blankets and take it out into communities to actually make sure that they have some warmth during this time, including lots of hot meals are served, in communities that are needed, especially for children and for the elderly who are the most vulnerable during this time.
Absolutely.
So that is a local project that's being focused on at the moment. We have tons of international projects as well. We have the Amman School of Excellence. We have children returning to school shortly. And then we have the Orphan Hope Project, a project that is also very close to my heart. When you see a widow and her children actually develop from a sponsorship. That is something that is transforming. It's life transforming.
Phenomenal. Sister Idrissa, how do our audience, our very kind and giving audience, how can they assist? How can they contact you guys to try and make a difference?
So this being Women's Month, this particular month of August, we have a project that has been started. And it's a project called For Women for Water.
Okay.
And we are encouraging businesses throughout South Africa, but women-owned businesses, to get involved.
Stunning.
And yes, absolutely. And they can be a part of this project where they can donate part of their proceeds towards the For Women for Water project. If they collect with maybe the 16,500 rand needed for a water well that could be built in their name.
Brilliant.
If it is for a borehole for Afghanistan or for Africa, exactly the same process will happen. And they can, they'll go onto our social media pages, we'll tag them, they'll tag us. And this is one way of, highlighting the importance of what water means to women, particularly in areas, where there is no access to clean water.
Best way to get hold of you guys, social media, your office numbers are there?
Absolutely. Our website can be visited, www.africamuslimsagency.co.za. We're on social media. You can find us on all the various platforms, or just visit any of our offices worldwide. Countrywide, whether you go to the Lens office, the office in Fordsburg, or in Houghton, or in Durban, or in Cape Town. Please, we would welcome that collaboration with women in business for Women's Month as we celebrate it now.
Inshallah. Jazakallah so much, Sister Idrissa, for coming into the studio. May all your future projects go from strength to strength. Always lovely linking up with you guys, hearing about the amazing work that you do. And we're just in awe in terms of the difference that you make in the world. So all the very best to you and your team.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you for having us once again.
My
Always
absolute
good
pleasure.
To be here.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
And that's all we have for you from the Cape Town team. We're back tomorrow between 5 and 6 p.m. From the Cape Town team, also once again, Mubarak to our birthday boy in Cape Town, Sohail Barnes. Also from Mohammed Parker, who works on our news edition, and then for myself, Luqman Shadrack. Have a great evening. Assalamu alaikum.